Hello, and welcome to Licaf. And in fact, this morning it's Little Licaf Live. It's our wake-up session. I've been looking forward to it all evening and all morning. And we've got one of our favourite ever Family Zone guests with us this morning, who's going to entertain you for some time. First of all, I'm wearing this, and it's supposed to be a particular character, but it looks like a bit of a mashup. So if anybody can actually write in and suggest what it actually is, the first person to get it right might get a special little prize. But anyway, I'm not going to speak anymore, which should be a relief for some people, because the Little Licaf section of the festival is not of my doing at all. It's the work of two fantastic team members, Hester Harrington and Sim Leach. And they're going to have a chat with you this morning about what's been going on Little Licaf, what's to look forward to, and they're going to introduce Marc and then have a bit of fun with Marc as well. So enjoy.
Thank you. There we go. Knock in the background. Good morning.
Morning.
Right, over to you.
Hey, well, here we are. After months of work, we finally get a bit of glory.
Usually we'd be in a shopping centre.
Yes, normally
Kendal.
The part of the festival that didn't used to be called Little Licaf, that's a new thing, that normally takes part in Kendal in the Westland Shopping Centre, but here we are doing it online this year, and it's been a good few months of work getting all this stuff ready, hasn't it?
We got to change the name, and we got to invent new social media.
Yeah, we got
especially
to argue about whether it was going to be called Licaf or Licaf, but we've been told from, as you heard from the boss on the poof a minute ago, she says Licaf, so it's Licaf from here.
I still say Licaf,
sorry.
Never mind. And online on the main website, you'll find an orange background with an exploding sheep.
That's right.
Logo, which if you go to that has got all the content for families, educators, and everything's aimed at children, and especially those under 12. That is the home of all your content.
But it doesn't mean to say it's exclusively for those under 12. There's plenty of stuff that grown-ups will enjoy.
Yes.
On there as well.
So we've had already yesterday morning Sarah McIntyre with her comics workshop drawing unicorns, which is up there to rewatch if you want. And we also have our own special selection of books read by Stephen Holland, our new comic laureate, from page 45.
We've got a whole lot of downloadable stuff as well, haven't we? We've got lots of stuff from Beano and from some of the other creators that have been involved.
Yeah, thank you very much to the guys up in Dundee from the Beano magazine, especially to Gail and to John, who've worked, giving us loads of the printables and worksheets and activities, and to John for doing a video about the history and his love of the Beano magazine. Who else have we got?
We've got a big list of people to say thank you to. Should we rattle through? Because
yes,
we can't hold back much longer. So we've got to say a big thank you to Joe Wass, who is over in the States sending
Yes.
He's done two fantastic workshops for us where you can learn how to draw mazes, and you get to draw characters and listen to him tell some weird stories.
And that was great. Purely because we were online, distance was no issue. So stateside coming over. Also stateside, we have got Steve McGarry.
Yes, we got Steve McGarry, who's really helped us out by helping set up our competition.
Which we did have a deadline originally for this weekend, but we scrapped that because anybody working in a school has just been through the mill since September. So rather than run it as a competition, which would have ended over this weekend, we've opened it up as an activity for the whole of this academic year. So if you take a look on the website, go and see Steve McGarry sticking, is it a minion sticking his finger up his nose?
Something like that, yeah.
If you find that picture, there will be a link to a competition for biographic comics. You can do it independently and send it in to us. We've put our email addresses on there. Or you are welcome to pester your teachers at school and get them to introduce comics into your classroom, and take whatever you are learning or whatever you're interested in and put that information into a biographic comic. And we would love to share those. We've already shared one school down in Somerset.
One school. We know that other schools are working on them as well, and some individuals, just parents working with their kids. If you want to get in touch with us with anything, there's the email address is on there, and we're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as well.
We are. We're down with the kids. Who else have we got to quickly mention? Kev F has got an excellent workshop on their video, as well as our manga artists, Inko and Chi.
Inko and Chi have done a total of 8 different manga workshops for us, including how to do manga hair. I need to watch that one.
And we've got beautiful reading of Metafrog's Bluebeard, beautiful book. And yesterday we had the first half of Robert Diaz.
We did, yeah. Robert Diaz this afternoon will be doing another set of We Draw, You Draw online workshops, which again normally happen in the shopping centre.
With Marc.
Face to face.
And lots of other people.
With lots of other people involved, but this time they're happening over the internet.
And there are only live workshops, working with an artist, doing a drawing. You can request something and Robert will draw it for you, and in return you do a drawing for him. Now currently all those slots are booked. We have been fully booked, but if you go onto Twitter you'll find Robert Dees has got his email address up on there, so you can be a standby for short notice if there is a cancellation. So if you are interested, and the drawings yesterday were amazing.
Oh, they were amazing, yeah, incredible stuff.
And then we've got two more. I'm just looking at the list.
We've got Tanya Roberts to say thank you to, haven't we?
Tanya and Gabriel with their 3-part comics for volume 1 of Abeyance, and they have done some amazing little glimmer cards. They've done one of me and they've done one of my son Theo as well, to accompany the 3rd part of their first volume, which is out this weekend. So if you go again to the Clock Tower and look at all the different contributors have got the little market stalls on there online, you can buy all of their comics on there, as with everybody else actually. They've all got marketplaces. Kev F has got his new reworking of Shakespeare, definitely very engaging. And finally, a latecomer to our lineup was John Mason, storyteller, bit of Nordic
storytelling.
Nordic storytelling.
Sagas, that's the word.
That's what we're looking for. So right now, though, who have we got?
Right now, then. Well, it's Sunday morning. You've done your yoga.
I've done my yoga.
I've done my deep breathing exercises, because Sunday mornings should all be about relaxation. Having a coffee and a homemade croissant. Not this morning, though. No relaxation. This morning, what words we're going to use? We're going to use zany, madcap, crazy. Is that all right? Any more words you want to throw in? Mayhem, madness. Handsome. Well, 3 hours in makeup at 2 meters isn't that easy, is it? Really? So we've got Marc Jackson for you. Here he is.
Woo! Woo!
Hello.
Change of camera angle.
There you go. I don't need to see myself, but it's always nice. Hello. Or do I look this way? Hi, I'm Marc Jackson. I'm a cartoonist, and I have been part of this festival, this fantastic festival, for the past 5 years. This would have been my 5th year in person, but here I am virtually, and everybody's been doing an amazing job. I've been watching some of the workshops with my children at home. Hello to Nancy and Florence and my wife Jane, if they're watching. Hello there. Oh, a quick hello to a young man called Sam, who does We Draw, You Draw, We Draw with me, and he did it last year, and it's his birthday. So Sam, if you're watching, happy birthday for sometime soon. I don't know, it's actually today, but there you go. So yes, so today I'm going to do some drawing, some quick fire drawing. I've done some workshops online for the festival for Licaf. I call it Licaf. You know,
yes.
Licaf, scone.
We're going to get in
scone.
Yeah.
So I've done a few little videos that you can watch. They're up there now, and you can watch those. Well, don't watch them now. Watch this, and then watch them afterwards. You know, because don't switch off me to watch me. That would be weird. So I'm going to do a little bit of a drawing here now. A great way of just sort of a bit of a warm up, so you can draw along with me. You can freestyle, and you can get a little idea of what I'm talking about and go off on your own little tangent, which is fantastic. And then I think there'll be some facility to take some requests. Maybe people watching can you can type what you would like me to draw. Don't make it too hard, because it is Sunday morning. But I am up to the challenge. And we'll also maybe be taking, I have my phone ready, If you can see it, this is my special phone. It's ready to take your call. So if you're old school, you don't want to type and you want to actually call in, you can call in on this phone. So that's there ready if you need it. So yes. So what I'm going to do is I like to draw with. Oh, here's the first thing. So you've got to. We did a little bit of your yoga before. You just got to stretch it out. Loosen up a little bit. I'm going to have to duck down, loosen up a little bit, get the arms. But and also it's very important. You might notice I've got this very fetching yellow bottle. I used to have NCS Fest on here, which is one of the festival partners as well. I mean, it's all about promotion, isn't it? So it's very important when you're drawing, especially in these crazy times. I hope everyone's staying well to stay hydrated. So I like to have one for me. And you know what it is, Hester. One for my homies.
And you're actually drinking out of an actual bottle as opposed to a jam jar. Yes,
I didn't bring my jam jar. If you watch my little videos, I drink out of a jam jar. The jam's not in it, but it's all about recycling, isn't it? So that's why. But yes, I've brought this bottle today, so no jam jar. But if you have got a jam jar, any receptacle that you've got is fine to fill it up with a drink of your choice. I've gone with the classic corporation pop, as they call it. So yes. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start off with a little drawing, and I always like to draw. I think one of the videos I did involved one of these little guys as well, little big guys. I like to draw robots, and the cool thing about robots is you're almost like the inventor when you're drawing a robot. And robots are a great way to just sort of exercise your skill level. Drawing isn't really about skill. It's more about confidence than anything. It's about just the doing it. And so if you draw a robot, no one can say that's not what a robot looks like, because you say, well, when I draw a robot, that's exactly what it looks like. Okay. So, and they're also a great thing, because I want you to also, I've got this fantastic flip chart here with this little,
very stable.
It's very stable. It's, so I can't get too carried away. But I've got this fantastic flip chart. You might not be as posh as me and have a fantastic flip chart. You might just have a piece of paper or a little post-it note. But I encourage you to have a nice, decent-sized piece of paper and to not draw small. Don't be just drawing all fiddly like that. Really get you back into it. So I'm going to draw big anyway because I can do. But if you draw big, your confidence level will be there more than if you're trying to draw small with your arm around it so no one can see what you're drawing and no one can comment about it. Draw nice and big and go, do you know what? I'm drawing a robot. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, hang on a sec. That pen looks a little bit like it might be running out, but it's all right. We're okay. Let's switch around here. I knew this was going to happen. And so I always like to start with the eyes, okay? And then I'm going to go with the mouth kind of here like this. And he's a smiling, happy robot, obviously. Most robots are, because they've just been invented, so they're happy to just be alive. And I'm going to do like a little bull body. It's a great, what I planned for this was it's a great way of using the space. And because robots, there's no restrictions, you can use the space however you want, because we don't want to waste the paper. You've got to think about the trees. You like to think about the trees, don't you, Hester?
Say again.
You like to think about the trees, don't you, Hester?
I do like to think about the trees.
In fact, when Hester walked in this morning, from a distance, she was thinking about oak trees, isn't that right, Hester?
I was.
Yeah. So robots are great because you can add
Prince William's oak tree.
Prince William's oak. Has he just planted one?
No, we did a video this week. He was talking about saving the planet, and he was stood in front of an oak tree.
Oh, he's doing with
centuries years old.
With David Attenborough, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, so I was thinking about it.
There you go. So I was reading your mind. So yes, so the great thing you can add. So very quickly, I've done the eyes, I've done the mouth. I kind of draw robot ears, kind of like this. It's just, I don't know. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. Nobody asks me why. I just do. Nobody asks me why. Nobody asks me why. I just do. Why, Marc? It's like pulling teeth, this, isn't it? Hey? We should have rehearsed that bit. I just assumed they would know what I was doing. So never assumed. So that's and then you can add little details, whatever space you've kind of got. You can have little circles, squares. You can make them like they're flashing by just doing little lines like that. Really simple. You don't even need to change color. You can do for the detail fans. These pens are great because you can get fat lines and thin lines as well, so you can get the same little detail.
I'm sure you're secretly sponsored by Crayola.
I should be. Crayola, if you're watching, you're welcome. Yeah, I think so.
During lockdown, you couldn't buy those pens for one
because of me.
Well, probably because of you.
Probably
and the only ones I could get my hand on were we're in a local supermarket, but there were the smelly ones.
Ah.
So whenever we do drawings, it smells of bubble gum,
Okay.
popcorn,
But
really sickly.
the Crayola pens that smell.
Yes.
Oh my word.
Yes.
I didn't know about those.
There you go.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So we've got the body here. So now we can do. So we've got all this space here. So we can think on our feet. And we think, I'll tell you what. Let's get a little kind of robots have got little exhaust pipes, with a little bit of steam coming out of them like that. And then we can have another thing where I tell you what we can do. Let's get a little box here, okay, coming out there. And then we can have a long kind of bendy arm here coming around like this, okay. And we can do a little hand coming around like that. Then you can have another little block like that, a little box like that, because it's like a, and you can put the little detail here for the robot. It's kind of like a bendy kind of arm. And the bendy arms are great because they fill up the space, you see. And so then, I'll tell you what, here we go, let's have some fun. We can add some little eyes to here because he's got a little robot face on this part as well. So it's almost like there's another little robot. So obviously he's going to have something, he's got like a little antenna thing here. It's flashing like that. Okay, and then he's got a little thing here like that. And then maybe he's got, I don't know what he's got. Maybe he's got a long arm coming off here like this because why not? And the stranger the better, and then you've got a little box here like that. And then, yeah, you guessed it, we can do this, can't we, here? And he's got a little face here as well, like that. And then he's got these little antennas. Oh, and again, like we did with the lights, they can flash if you want, just simple, and just makes it. And so that's when it stops being necessarily just being a picture and starts to become something that's more comic-based. It's kind of got a bit of movement and a little bit of something. The same with the steam coming out of the little exhaust. Things are starting to kind of happen. So, and we do here again with that, like that, and he's got the little flat. They're all just so pleased to see each other, you see. And that's the thing with robots; they're just happy to be alive. And then you think, okay, well, Mark, you're running out of space here. You've not got. Well, I'm not really, because I've got all this space down here. We could do. We could fill it. We've got this space here. We could fill this. Let's get another one in here.
Can it involve coffee?
It could involve coffee. Or it should involve coffee, shouldn't it? So let's figure out what we can do here.
Mums and dads.
Yeah. But robots, as with dogs, they are ferocious supporters of local independence. And in this crazy time, you've got to look after the independents. It's not about the big chains. There's people that go to the chains and get their coffee. You've got to go to the local guys.
At least they defaced it.
Yeah. So robots are all about local independent spirit. Okay, so when they go and get a coffee, they go and get it from a nice person who has struggled through this pesky pandemic, as we are calling it. It's trying times, but we're all getting there, aren't we? And as long as you can draw and have fun, and as long as there are comics, that's the great thing about comics as well. I'd like to think that comics have really saved the day during this whole thing, because you can get a comic and you can enjoy it, and it'll take you away from everything that's going on just for half an hour, or it might even then inspire you to go and draw a comic. So it could take you away for the whole day and forget about what's going on, which is what it's all about, really, I think. So let's go. So we've got to get the request in of the coffee. Esther's thinking, he's got no room for coffee. How's the coffee going to come in here?
Where's that going to go?
There's always a space, because we've got space here, Hester. Can you see it? This is for the space fans here. So fans of space. And then let's give him another little ear. That's just how I draw it. Don't ask me why. No, they're still not biting that, are they? Don't ask me why.
Why?
It's just how I draw them. It's just how I draw them. It's just how I draw them.
Why?
Yeah. it's just what I do. So here we go. And so now we've got a little thing here. So let's do. I don't know. It's going to. And again, we're not planning this out. So sometimes the lines might go a little bit weird, but it doesn't matter. It's all about having the fun. As long as you're having the fun. Oh, I forgot to. Oh, if it's on that, it's okay. As long as you're having fun, it doesn't matter if it goes slightly different than you planned, because I didn't plan this anyway. I had no clue what I was going to do. But I do know that I'm going to put a hand on here like that. Okay. And in that hand, it's got a little thing like that. And there is Hester's cup of coffee. Lovely. It's got a nice double espresso, I think, with a heart on it, because we love the coffee. And then we can now do, so we can add a few little things like this. Can we see? If I do the little lines here like that, these little wobble lines. And what they do, again, the same way as the little puffs of the smoke, they start to make it look like it's a bit more something's actually happening. It's not just a picture. It's got a little bit of life to it. So the same with these robots that swirl, and we kind of these little lines here. and those lines are little movement lines, and suddenly the whole drawing kind of comes alive. I always like watching with my daughters like the old Disney films, because everything in them, like if you watch Dumbo, everything in them was alive. The trains, everything's kind of moving, and it just gives such life and energy. And I think that's what, particularly when you're drawing cartoons, that's what you should do. So I like to do these little swirls, you know, because the robot's arms kind of swirl in his coffee. But, you know, it's got a little, and these little lines here, did a little like that. They just show a little bit of heat. You could have, because if he's moving a bit fast, maybe you could have a little bit of a slosh, kind of, you know, something coming out of here. Now, we've still got a bit of space, you know. I look at this and I see a space here, see a space there, so you can fill it up. Do whatever you want. Let's look after these trees again, because Hester is all about the trees, so you don't want to upset Hester. So let's do it on the end of this one, like a little magnet here, okay? And like a little thing, and there's a little magnet kind of the little magnet kind of things, and they're doing that because the magnet is pointing towards his arm, so he's going to magnetize it to himself, which, you know, is a rookie mistake. It's a brand new robot. You know, he doesn't know that you should do that. And then you can, okay, let's have a see. So I'm trying to figure out what can we do? What can we do? Okay, well, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And let's do like another one of these little pipes here, like that.
He's definitely multitasking.
He's equipped basically for, he's got all these little pals with him. Look, he's got another one here, down here. Just fill that space up, and it's just a great fun exercise to just keep drawing, really, and not move on to the next piece of paper. Just fill it up and see how many fantastic things you can add to it. And then maybe what you could do, you've got this great robot here, and we've got all the little bits that are connecting, and then obviously, you know, this guy's coming in because he thinks these guys know how to party. I'm coming in here from the left. This is the left. This is the right. This is the left. Okay.
Mark, which hand do you draw with?
I draw with the right hand. It's funny you should ask me that, Hester. I know that instantly because I know who I am. Yeah, and I never have to stop and pause when anybody ever asks me, Mark, what hand do you draw with? I know that instantly. Yeah. And there you go, a little thing there like that, and he's coming in there, flying in. He's got a little bit of explosion, so he's like blasting in. And do you know what? I'm quite happy with that. And so what you have to do as well, you've got to sign it, so you do your little initials. I go with MJ, the classic MJ, because that is my name, Mark Jackson. And there you go, it's a robot.
That's super.
Thank you very much. So stay hydrated.
Or collection of robots. Is it one robot or is it many robots?
It's actually called a collection of robots.
It's, you call them a roundup of robots. It's a roundup of robots. Yeah.
A parliament of owls.
Yeah. A roundup of robots. And so basically, yeah, it's kind of one robot with many robots. I think it's just got lots of robots. He's just, you know, this guy's separate. We know he's definitely, but he's happy to come in and join if there's room.
I think he's spotted the coffee, hasn't he? At the end.
He's seen the coffee, and the coffee is there. And but we could always, you know, because obviously, why not?
There is a little bit of space.
There is. You could squeeze a croissant down there.
You could squeeze a fish, couldn't you?
Yeah,
you know,
obviously.
You could always squeeze a fish because fish.
Yes.
They don't
there needs to be a line above the fish.
There is, yes, there is, because the first rule of cartooning is, if you've watched my things, is nothing below the fish. If you draw things below the fish, then you can't see it. So if I was to draw anything below this fish, you wouldn't be able to see it. So the rule is nothing below the fish. The fish is coming here. He's very happy because he's seen the coffee cup. It's not plastic. So he knows it's come from a local independent. He knows it's not plastic, so he knows he's not going to choke on it in the sea.
That is very important.
That's very important. I keep looking at the screen down there, but I have to look at this bit. It's weird looking. I feel like I'm looking at a robot. I look directly into your eyes. So yes, a robot, ladies and gentlemen.
Fantastic.
So I'm just going to switch pens because I think my pen is on its way out. So you talk amongst yourselves. Have a think, Hester. What is anybody watching who would like to challenge me to draw something? Is there any challenges?
A challenge would be good. I'm just trying to work out if we can get people's comments.
You can see the comments on the.
You can see the comments.
Is this on?
Draw a spiky animal.
Oh, a spiky animal.
So is this going to go? Do I just tear this off or
Tear it off. Tear it off.
how's that? Let's have a. Okay, look at that. We're going to auction all these, so hopefully we're going to try and get £1 million for each one of them, or thereabouts. What was the request? Somebody's requested something.
A spiky animal.
A spiky animal. So okay. So this is again, as a cartoonist, you get challenged to do things when I do the you draw, we draw. So whenever I look at this, I want to look down to make sure that I'm looking at it. But if I look down, then I don't know I'm looking at it. I assume that I'm looking at it. So whenever I do the you draw, we draw, a thing with the cartoonist as well is, or one thing that I do, is that you can't know everything. You can't know what everything looks like. And what there's two ways of getting around that. You can either you can go on your phone if somebody wants something specific. Sometimes the children will sit down and they'll go, I want you to draw this. It has to be this. And it's got to look like this. So you might go to the phone, or if you've literally never heard of it before, because these crazy kids, they've got all these new things I don't even know about. It seems like the A-Team and the Golden Girls aren't so popular with kids these days. I just don't understand it, to be honest. So you have to go to the phone, right? They're a gift and a curse at the same time, these phones, but sometimes you go to the phone, or if you've got a rough idea, you do your version of it. Yes. And you go, do you know what? That is what it is, because that's how I think. And that, and again, in itself, is a great fun thing to do, rather than having to know exactly, especially with cartoon drawing, when it's very cartoony. We're all cartoonists, but when it's very cartoony, it's more about trying to get it exact. It's more about just having fun with it. And if you're trying to copy it accurately, then it kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit. So if somebody was to say draw Batman, you think, well, I know what Batman looks like in my head, so draw that. It's just a bit more fun. Okay, right. So spiky animal.
I've got a more specific request actually. A hedgehog on a biscuit, which is still a spiky animal.
See, okay. So now they've done a specific. If I hadn't waffled, I could have just done a spiky animal, and now I'm going to go with a hedgehog on a biscuit. Okay.
So you just fall into your own trap.
Yeah. So I'm going to. So I think a hedgehog. Again, I always go with the eyes, and hedgehogs have kind of got little noses like that, and I think they kind of point like that. It looks a little bit like a fox, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. And then he's kind of got the spikes.
Are you worried now about drawing so fast that you don't get a specific biscuit request at this point?
I don't mind if they've got a specific biscuit, then they can do it. But I'm probably just going to ignore that and draw any biscuit that biscuit of my choice. Now I think hedgehogs, they're very spiky, so you just do spikes. It's a very, very spiky hedgehog. And what was he doing? He was surfing on a biscuit, or he was just...
It was a hedgehog
on a biscuit. So
hedgehog on a biscuit.
The biscuit.
And he's got, I'm going to do, that is actually the bottom of his face. I'm going to do that. There's his thing. He's got these little sweat kind of beads here because he's on a biscuit, and it's the first time he's ever been on a biscuit.
We've just had a message through saying, this is going back to what Julie was wearing this morning, her mashup outfit. Nancy, I wonder which Nancy that was.
Oh, could be.
She says that Julie's jacket was Totoro.
Oh,
my neighbour, Totoro.
Your neighbour?
Well,
I'm going to go with...
My neighbour, Totoro. That's what it's called.
Oh, that's the film. Come on.
That is correct.
Oh, there you go.
And so we've got request here.
He's got a chocolate. I'm going with chocolate chip cookie. It's not necessarily my biscuit of choice. I'm trying to think what my biscuit of choice actually. Oh, I'll tell you what I like. The biscuits from Spain that basically are like the two kind of rich tea biscuits with the chocolate in the middle.
Really,
Prince biscuits.
These are the greatest biscuits. And my daughter Florence,
are available.
She likes to take the top bit off, but then she's also managed to figure out a way to peel the chocolate off it as well. She eats the two bits of biscuit and then just ends up with like a disc of chocolate. Yeah. So I've gone with the cookie, and he's whizzing in here from the right. This is the right, and what you do here, so I do these little 3 lines, which shows that the character or whatever it is you're drawing is just slightly elevated, so it shows like a little bit of a shadow. So I always do that. And we've got a little whiz. So he's whizzing in. That's why he looks a bit panicked. And then we've got his hands here. And let's do that. So, and also, you might have noticed, I don't know what I do with the robot. I think I drew one hand, but you can see it more here. I do 3 fingers and a thumb. I've got no time for 4 fingers and a thumb. Just go with three fingers, the classic kind of cartoon kind of thing. So 3 fingers and a thumb.
So complicated.
You just don't. It just feels weird to do 4, to be honest. It's just the default. And so he's very spiky. Let's add a few more spikes here. and he's very spiky. He's the spikiest hedgehog, and I think there we go. It's a hedgehog on a biscuit. How's that? How's that?
What would you say?
There's a space. Well, I don't know. We could all let's do another one. Let's why? You can say why on a biscuit. Yeah. Well, okay. So if we go like why like this, okay. So here's a little cartoon comics kind of thing. Okay, let's do it like that. And then, can anybody tell me what did I do first?
Oh, I love this question.
This is a great question. It's like we expected the question.
What did I do first? Anybody know?
Give audience reaction time.
Anybody know? Does anybody know what I did first? Anybody watching what did I do first? I'll tell you what I did first. I did the word first. Why did I do the word first? Why did I write why first? Well, because if you do the balloon first and then the word second, you might not have enough room for the words that go inside. We just got one word.
Rookie error. That would be a rookie error.
So now I'm a professional, so sometimes you can do it the other way around, but just try not to.
It's a really good
tip. And it is, because you might run out of space, and that way you know what the size of your balloon is going to be. The same with comics. When you're doing a comic, if you've got the panel, always think about the top part of the panel for where the balloons go, because balloons float, they go up to the top. And so always think about the top part of the panel is where the balloons are, and so your drawing should be at the bottom. So imagine your panel like this. Okay, so let's get a balloon in here. Like that. Oh, look, see, I did the balloon first there. Did you see it? Because I'm a professional, you see. But I'm going with why. But I know that I'm doing why, you see. So I knew that I got it through. And so we've got the balloon at the top, and then we've got our little hedgehog here, down here, and he's with little beads of sweat. Now, there's a technical word for something like this when you do this kind of thing, where the thing is the thing inside the thing.
Is it thingception?
It's Thingception. It is thing. I think that was a film, wasn't it, with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, it was a very good film. I have no idea what that was about.
Thingception.
Several times.
It was about things, I think. Yeah, and Leonardo DiCaprio. He's a close personal friend, actually. He rang into my YouTube show that the Lakes very kindly sponsored, that I ran over lockdown, and he rang in, I think, and requested. He asked me to draw the Titanic.
Was it before or after? In two pieces or in one?
It's a bit of both.
Right.
Yeah, classic Leo. So it's a thingception where you draw the thing in there, and then in this top corner here, you draw it again, you see, with the thingception.
With the pointy bit of the pen.
With the pointy bit of the pen, and get the question mark in there, and then you just sort of do that, and then there you go, and it's there.
Wow.
So there you go. So there, spiky, balloon, panel,
brilliant.
Hester.
Right, we've got another request here.
Okay.
We have, so far, just one word, gecko. It's a good starting point.
It's a good start. It's a good ending point as well, isn't it? That's gecko. Just gecko.
Just gecko. We might get something to add to it.
Oh, right. Okay, here we go. Right, no, we don't want anything to add to it. I've got something. Let's turn it off. Don't rip it. Look at that. Oh, yeah, there we go.
That's another one to watch.
Okay. Okay, gecko. So I'm going to go with. So if you know, stop me if you know who this is. Okay.
Is it Leonardo DiCaprio?
It's not Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
Titanic.
It's not the Titanic.
Jack.
But it's gecko is definitely. If anybody knows who this is, they will get a prize. I think the Lakes Festival will fly them to the comic festival of their choice in 10 years' time. So when it's safe to go somewhere. Oh, look at this.
Have you always drawn in pen? This is
because
featuring me asking questions.
So I draw when I do things like this. Yeah, I always draw with a felt pen because it's just quicker. If I was here trying to draw it with pencil and then again trying to get it right, then it would, and then I got to go ink over the top of it. But when I do comics, I do it digitally, so I don't really draw with a pencil. I draw, and so I do like two different stages where it's kind of like a pencil version and then final drawing. But I just, for things like this, I just like drawing with the felt pens because, again, the less technical I am with the drawing, it makes it more accessible for the children as well. Yeah. And so if I come in with my technical tools and they're like, well, I haven't got any of those, or then go home and go, Mum, Dad, can you buy me these technical tools? Whereas if I send them home with all they need to buy is a felt pen, it's that easy. So here we go. So anybody got any ideas yet? We've got gecko, you've got to think about.
He's a fox to me.
You've got to think. No, not a fox. A gecko, Hester. It's a gecko, and he's got. And so what we're doing here.
Oh, it's Michael Douglas.
There you go. Yeah. Gordon Gecko. From Wall Street, and bonus points if you can tell me the catchphrase. I'm actually really pleased with this likeness.
Yeah, it's good. Got a chin, definitely.
So he's got a suit, and we're going to have him standing here. He's got his jacket like this. He's just standing, and he's going to be like this. He's got his little legs. Can you remember? You're getting so good.
It's something like greed is good, isn't it?
Well, that's one of them, but it's not the one I was going to go for because this is my favourite. And he's got his little scarf thing here, and he's just got his arms behind his back. That's a great thing to do if you don't want to draw hands. You can just tuck the arms behind the back. So he's got his suit here and his little pocket. And I do his little dings.
Oh, I love pocket details.
Yeah, I like the little extra detail. And again, similar to the way I did the biscuit hovering, I just do the little lines here to show that the character's kind of standing, so it's kind of grounded on the ground rather than just floating. So there he is, and he's got a few little lines there as well. Look at him, mate. You think I was drawing Michael Douglas all the time because I'm quite proud of this.
It's like looking at Michael Douglas' mirror, to be fair.
I think so. And this is the catchphrase. Lunch is for wimps.
Great catchphrase.
Was the great line. So
you've drawn that for the ladies. Is there any chance you could do Catherine Zeta-Jones for the dads?
No. No. Is he still married to Catherine Zeta-Jones?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, you didn't know about then, you see, and so.
And we've got a question for you here.
Which is for wimps.
Someone wants to know.
Yes.
Well, first of all, they say it's absolutely all fantastic.
Fantastic. I like to keep talking.
And their question is, this is from Dr. Jude.
I'm not hiding.
Who are your favourite sci-fi writers?
Favourite sci-fi writers?
Yes.
My word, that's a random question. My
It
favourite
is.
Sci-fi writers.
There we go.
So like writers of just science fiction.
Yes.
Well, then I've got to go with the classic because these set of films, as comics, music, and these set of films shaped who I am. This is Star Wars, so I have to go with Sir George Lucas because he wrote Star Wars. He created all this stuff that blew my mind when I was a young little 4-year-old back in. Yes, I know you're thinking, hang on a sec. When you first watched Star Wars, you were 4. You
watched
about
DVD,
27. But no, I'm a little bit older than 27. I know. George Lucas. He created this amazing stuff. And
do you have a favourite character out of Star Wars?
Of course, Han Solo, of course.
Is it?
And my favourite Star Wars film, of course, has to be Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Because
there we
because
go.
it just is.
Which you did a wonderful poster for, didn't you?
I did. It all ties in. All ties in. Yeah. I did a poster. There you go. But it's all about connecting. It's all about networking, isn't it? So so that's my favourite sci-fi writer, I suppose, has to be George Lucas or Sir George Lucas. So Gecko, Gordon Gecko, Lunch is for Wimps, and we'll do the little signature, obviously, because
very good.
These are going to sell.
We do have another suggestion.
Oh yeah, okay.
With the starter point, we've got Jerry the cat sunbathing in our garden.
No, I think this has probably come from my daughter Nancy. We have a little kitten who arrived in the summer called Jerry.
Is this a lockdown kitten?
Well, I suppose he didn't really arrive in the height of lockdown. It was in August, so we were kind of not as locked down as it was a little bit of a
It wasn't a rash decision then.
No. Oh no, it was a decision that had been probably 8 years in the making. Yeah. So we knew when the cat arrived that we'd made the right choice. But then when you get an animal, once the animal's in your house, you then go, oh, we've got an animal in our house now. And there won't be a person alive who doesn't go, what have we done? Yeah. What have we done? And there's little things pinging around, and you think, oh, and then
we have a Woody the dog.
There you go. Yes. And you think, what have we done?
Yes.
And then you fall in love with these little things,
Yes.
and then, you know.
My initial ruling was the dog is never going on the sofa and absolutely never going upstairs. And where does Woody come first thing in the morning?
Upstairs.
On the bed.
Oh my gosh.
Just like, what even happened?
So we've got Jerry the cat. So Jerry, he's got sunglasses, obviously, because he's sunbathing.
That's
Very
a cool cat,
cool.
Yeah,
obviously.
and you do little things like that. And then he's got a very little nose. I have to remember what he looks like, but he's got a very pointy face, and he's got incredibly big ears. Bless him.
I think I love Jerry.
He's just the best. And
Who got to choose Jerry's name?
Well, Jerry is the name that either of my daughters would have been called if they were boys.
Oh, right.
So
yes.
Jerry.
The final child. In
So
the
his
family.
full title is Jerry. He's got the Jazz Jackson. I added that he's got it's technically Jerry Jazz Jackson,
Yeah.
but I like he's got the Jazz Jackson,
Yeah.
and he has. So so Jerry's like that. He's smiling. He's very, very stripy. So I've now got to remember he's got kind of a lot of lines on him that kind of go like this, and they're just stripes everywhere. He's the stripiest cat I've ever, and he's got a little white chin like that, but we don't because we're drawing in this colour. So those sunglasses are going off there, and he's sunbathing in the back garden. So let's get his arms around here, similar to when Gordon was sat with his stood with his arms behind. So again, you don't even need. I do a lot of these things where I don't worry about connecting everything up. It's more about getting the lines in rather than trying to make finished shapes. So you get the lines in and just kind of so people know that the arms are there. But does anybody go, well, hang on a sec, shouldn't those lines carry on behind there? I don't know whether anybody knows or even cares about that bit. Maybe they do. Who knows? But I don't. So I'm going to do. So then he's very small.
We've got some more questions coming in.
Oh, okay.
Comments, and I've actually just passed it over to Sim because I'm really baffled by it. So
Yeah,
this is the great thing about being a team. If you're not sure, you pass it over to the other half.
It's great. So I'm just going to read the words. I'm not going to attempt
It's
to
a question.
The question is,
All right.
what is the airspeed of an unladen swallow? So
Who are asking? Who's? Are they tuning into the wrong thing this morning?
I'm wondering that actually.
Well, should they be on the Andrew Marr show or something like that?
I think they were looking for Attenborough. And
I don't. What was it again? The question was.
What is the airspeed of an unladen swallow?
An unladen. So that's an unladen swallow. Is that a swallow that isn't holding anything?
Yeah.
Yes, not got any
Who knows?
twigs or whatever.
What is the
swallows
answer?
carry.
If only there was a way of finding that out.
What could you? I mean,
What could you use?
What could you
There's
use
some
to do
swallows
that?
that carry coconuts, don't they?
Where's this person from?
I don't know.
Who is the name? Let's name
Also,
name this person. Who is this person?
there is also a request for a mouldy bear from Ben Williams.
A mouldy bear.
Yeah. I
Okay.
do like the idea of a bear though.
Yeah. There's Jerry's got his flip flops on, and he's got his stripy little legs. And then I'm trying to think. He's literally just got. He's like a stripeaholic. He's just got stripes everywhere. He's the stripiest cat I've ever seen. And so let's just get the little lines in there. And then he's just lying. So then we've got the grass. He's there in the garden.
Has he got a cool glass of liquid whiskers next to him?
I like that. He's got a tall glass of milk, obviously.
All right, milk.
He's a
Not
Star
sure
Wars
you're
fan.
supposed to give them milk because it kind of has a bad.
Well, he's a Star Wars fan, so it's blue milk, so
Right,
it's
that's
space
fine.
milk. You
That's
see?
going to be fine.
Yeah, and so it's okay.
Because some cats it can go right through them if you
You can get. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, I know that. Been there, cleared that up.
Am I allowed to request some text? Because I feel like I want to say the word onomatopoeia.
Oh, what
Alright,
could
okay.
the cat be saying that would be an onomatopoeia type thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have I got to come up with that?
I don't know. I think you could. Unless-
Could I?
Well,
So the way you say it back, where it reads the same way backwards as it just
No,
forwards.
onomatopoeia.
Oh, the sound effect.
Yeah.
I'd like a sound effect because we've
Yeah.
done speech.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. I see what you mean. Right.
The
So,
teacher
I'm
in
getting,
me,
yeah.
the
Okay.
teacher in me wants to get some more text.
So,
Different.
well, you know, let's.
as a clue, Mark, meow.
Yeah, I was going to go with the plastic.
classic.
I was going to go with the classic meow, obviously. And this is the thing. So yeah, the sound effects can kind of. I've done it quite big there. Jerry's meow is very, very quiet. It's kind of like meow, kind of like that. That's my cat impression. And this is my Sean Connery impression. Hello there. There you go.
Can you do Sean Connery doing a cat?
Meow, meow, meow. There you go. There you go. You thought it was just going to be cartoon drawing, but it's impressions as well. I won't do my Liberace. It is good, but I won't do that one in case I embarrass myself. So there's Jerry in the garden with his glass of milk, sunbathing with his sunglasses on, and there you go. You are welcome. All right. We've got a little bit of space here. Let me take a little quick sip there. Stay hydrated, kids. Remember. Is there any more requests coming through? Has anybody got anything that's?
I haven't got any more requests. I can't see a screen at the moment, so I'm going to ask Sim. We could come up with a request.
Oh, hang on a sec. The phone's ringing. Hang on. Let's have a seat. Hello. Oh my word! Can you believe it? It's festival friend Steve McGarry, all the way from America. Hi, Steve. Hey, say hello to Steve.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing, Steve? It's been a while. I know. Usually we'd be hanging out at the lakes, wouldn't we? Oh, we'd be having a laugh, wouldn't we? Yeah, are you doing okay? And Luke, it was Luke's birthday. Yeah, Luke's birthday yesterday. Oh, my word. It's just another year, isn't it? Can you believe it? Steve, what you got a request? You'd like me to draw something, Steve? Well, you know, Steve's all about the on-the-spot drawing. What would you like, Steve? It's typical Steve, that. It's typical Steve. All right, okay. Right, well, I'm going to hang up now. We're going to say bye-bye, because you must have stayed up late for this, Steve, because you're in California, aren't you? Yeah, with your shorts on, just hanging out, yeah? Getting ready to vote. Yeah, you do the right thing, Steve. All right, okay. Right, I'm going to draw that. Thanks for the request, Steve. Take care, stay well. Thanks a lot. Bye, Steve McGarry, everybody. Right, Steve, typical Steve, wants me to draw himself. He wants me to draw him. Okay, so, but he wanted me just to change it a little bit. Because look at that, it's gone right through there. Look at that. Take a photo. Sorry, I get excited because Steve called in. Steve wants me to draw himself, but he wants me to draw himself being chased by a minion that's throwing a banana at him. It's typical Steve. Now, Steve Witt, I need to do some storyboarding. I think I'm correct there for the minions.
He did a time-lapse video.
He's done some stuff for the festival as well. So he wants me to draw him being chased by a minion that's throwing bananas at him. But to make it easy on me, even though I can see Steve, when I close my eyes, I can just see him. Close your eyes. Everybody close their eyes.
Oh, no, he's
can you see Steve? Right. But he wants me to wear with a bag on his head to make it easier for me. So it's typical Steve. He's a giver that way. So what I'm going to do the bag. So here's the bag here. Now I always remember many years ago in the crazy 80s, there was an issue of Spider-Man that I got where Spider-Man. For those of you familiar with Spider-Man, at one point he had an alien costume, a black costume. He came back from a planet with a black costume. And it turns out that the costume was actually an alien that tried to take him over. And that's the Venom character. And so they had to get rid of the Fantastic Four. Love those guys. They helped to get rid of the black costume and trapped it in a special black costume container. And Spider-Man had to still maintain, had to leave their headquarters, the Baxter building, and get back home to his apartment, but he needed to cover his face. So they gave him a spare Fantastic Four costume and a paper bag to go over his head. And there's a whole adventure where he ends up, people think it's some kind of paper bag man is a superhero. So that's the long way around of saying why I'm drawing this paper bag like this. It's like this. And
you didn't start with the eyes first.
Start with the bag. When you're drawing a paper bag, you always start with the bag.
Okay.
Yeah. Always because you don't always. It's not paper bags aren't always on people's heads.
Okay.
So there's not always eyes. So you've got to draw the bag first.
That's a great get out.
That is the rule. Okay. So this is Steve. He's been chased by a minion. So Steve is here, and Steve's got his shirt on like that with his effervescing chest hair. It's just frothing out of his shirt. He's very much like the Tom Jones of comics, I think. And he's got his little pocket here with, he's got a couple of pens there because he is a cartoonist as well. And he's always at the ready. And he's got his shorts on, so he's running along with his shorts. He's got his legs up here like that, and he's got another leg and he's not running super fast, so his legs aren't really crazy running. He's just kind of running at a nice pace because, well, let's be honest, he loves the Minions and he loves bananas. He also loves, if you ever see Steve, if you're ever going to go and visit Steve, take him some Vimto jelly babies or something like that, and he'll be your friend forever. Because you can't get those in America, but Steve loves them. All right, so we're missing that this year because that's one of the reasons he comes to Kendal, for the Vimto jelly babies.
Not the Kendal mint cake.
I can't speak for him on that. I can't speak for him on that. So there you go. So that's Steve. So you can't see, but we've got a little sweat, so you can do the little sweat beads here because he's running fast and he's he's a little bit worried because this Minions kind of. And then we're going to do I like to do the classic kind of arms like this when somebody's running fast. You get the two arms kind of flailing behind them. I always think it's quite good fun to do that. So like that, and then like that. Okay, and then we get the little lines. And then, so we've got the little shadow here. So Steve's running here like that. And then we've got a Minion. So I have to remember, I watched Steve, the second time I came to the festival, him and Luke were doing, and Steve showed everyone how to draw a Minion. I've watched the Minions, obviously, so I know as well. You've got the little eye here.
You definitely start with the eye first, Minion.
You've got to get, and then they've got a little head, and then he's kind of like that, and then they're always smiling. Oh, there you go, look at that. And then I'm going to go with, you have dungarees, don't they? Kind of thing. I was trying to think where this bit goes, but it's just going to go there because I can't think what that's connected to. Steve would know, obviously, but he's coming like that. He's running in like that, and then we've got to remember that he's throwing a banana at Steve, and we've not thought this through. But what we're doing, Steve, I'm changing it, and he's chasing you with a banana. Actually, no, here we go. He's throwing a little wobble here. We can do it. There you go. It's a gentle throw. He's not really trying to hurt you with it.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then
there is room for a speech bubble up there.
I think so. And he's got his little pocket here because the little pants have got little pockets on there, and there's that bit there. Again, we don't know where that bit, because he's all yellow there, so I don't know what that's attached to. Maybe it should have gone over his shoulder. It probably should. It should go like that, but it doesn't matter. It's just going there, isn't it? We're just going to leave it there. Who's going to argue with me at this point, this stage of the game on a Sunday? There's the banana, and let's just get a few more bananas in here. Let's add them because, bananas are good. Eat a banana if you can. I'm not obviously sponsored by bananas in general. If you can actually just get sponsored by an entire a type of fruit, but maybe you can. Let's find out if bananas contact me after this.
Get sponsored by Apple. Oh,
Are you here all weekend? No. Right, there you go. I'm quite pleased with that Minion. And then Steve, thank you. I wasn't asking for applause, but it's always nice, isn't it? And then we can do here, so we have a few little sound effects as requested by Hester. So ping, and then you could even do, sometimes with comments you can do you can do the sound effect. It's quite good fun to actually do the actual word that is the action. So in this case, throw, you can have leap, and then you can have zip, because he's running. And here's another one, dash, and
superb.
And superb, you want that one as well?
Yeah, you can put that
Hang on. So what do we think? How do we need to fit? So do we need to write on here? What are we doing?
I think that
are we happy with that?
Can we have, what do Minions say?
I'm quite pleased with that. I'm going to take a picture of that while you can think. He says banana, doesn't he? All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I know what to do. Here we go. Let's just throw it in. No. Is that right? So it's kind of like coming from everybody, because he's throwing it. He loves them. Yes. Steve's getting attacked by one.
Is it said in enthusiasm or angst?
It's just said, basically. It's just banana. Who knows? You take it as you. We can thicken it up a little bit there if you want to. For the thickening up fans that are out there, you just give it a little bit more punch because it's Sunday. And
oh, well, thank you ever so much for joining us this morning, Mark.
No, where is that? We're done.
I think Auntie Julie's going to come and join us again for a little while.
Not my Auntie Julie. She lives in France now.
So, what are you busy with over the next couple of weeks, comic-wise? What have you got?
I've been very fortunate to get a chance to work with a charity that I worked with last year called Able Child Africa. and they approached me last year about doing a comic that was all about showing children in Rwanda how the basic elements of hygiene, washing hands, and where to get water from, where not to have water from, and various the basic things of teaching them that. So I was asked to do. So I did like a comic page. So each page is just one panel with, and basically they wanted superheroes. So it's like superheroes that would come to a little village to teach the children, but the superheroes, as the children were, would also almost be like versions of the children that they'd learn these little lessons.
Yeah.
But everybody there was had to include disabled children. And children with different needs, and so I had to illustrate that. Anyway, so I did that last year, and it also was getting translated into, well, it's not Rwandan, it's Kinyarwanda, something like that. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. And so I had to do a version. So I wrote this little script for it based on their concepts, and I wrote the little script, make it comic, kind of easy to sort of simplify. Anyway, they've come back to me because they want to add some elements. It didn't actually get printed last year for different reasons. Some elements that connect to the coronavirus. And keeping them safe. So introducing masks and more hand washing elements. Brilliant. So I've been adding to that. So I'm doing that at the moment. And it's quite possibly one of the most rewarding things I've had a chance to do, because these little children who don't get a chance to see themselves drawn in this way, it's quite an exciting project.
You are bringing them to life.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Yeah. So there you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Marc Jackson. Right. We need to organise the chair for Julie.
Chair for Julie.
There we go.
Do you want to take one? Are you all right on the big one?
There you go.
Super. Oh, here we go. Quick changeover. Very slick. Very slick. Thank you, Marc.
It's all right.
Thank you, Marc.
Right, I've discarded Totoro. I'm now on some kind of weird Marvel thing. Don't know where that came from. I think it's my pajamas from last night, actually. But anyway, thank you, Hester, and thank you, Sim. Amazing. And as always, the amazing Marc Jackson. Thank you very much for coming in. Yeah, so moving on. And really looking forward to this next session. I'm a bit of a fangirl, but don't tell him. Yeah, we're going to actually go live over to a studio in a minute, actually in the Lake District, which is quite opposite, I think. And we'll be talking to a creator that we've been working with at the festival since day one. In fact, he is the founder patron of the festival. Just a bit of background, he's been drawing comics professionally since he was 15, and he's won a multitude of awards, and has worked with most of the, in fact, all of the major publishers around on things like Sleeper, Hellblazer, Batman, X-Men, Marvel Zombies, and much more. But for many years now, he's been concentrating on creator-owned comics, such as Image, and working with Ed Brubaker over in the States. And just to name a few of the things that he's produced with Ed over the years: Criminal, Incognito, Fatale, Fade Out. I could go on, but I won't, because I'll be wasting time, precious time, that you will want to savour whilst we have a good look around Sean Phillips' studio. So this is like a comics through the keyhole, but also we're going to see him in action, and he is actually going to be coming back later on today to show us what he's been up to during the course of his Sunday. So there he is. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Julie.
Can you hear?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear
I think
me?
your audio probably isn't quite with us yet. You might need to press a button.
I'll press the buttons.
Oh, you've done it. There you go.
Got
No,
it?
it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hiya.
How you doing?
I'm all right, yeah. Are you normally doing the working on a Sunday?
Nah, God, no, I'm usually asleep.
So dragged you out of bed?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, well, I was going to say I'm sorry. I was going to say I'm sorry, but I'm not actually.
No.
It's great to have you here. I know quite a lot of people are tuning in for this. Even Charlie Adlard said he was going to get up and watch it.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Maybe I'll teach you something.
Yeah, maybe you'll learn something. Very funny. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess people will be quite curious before we have a good snoop around your studio about how things have been going for you during coronavirus. I mean, has it had any impact at all on your work?
Well, it did at the beginning because everything stopped, didn't it? So Diamond stopped, all the comic shops shut, Image stopped. Ed and I were going to start a big new series, which was going to take us 2 years, and decided it was a bit too depressing to do that. So then we had to have a rethink. So we thought we'd do something a bit more upbeat for us. Still quite grim, but a little bit more upbeat for us. So we've been working on a series of graphic novels over the summer. So I've just started the second volume last week. It's called Reckless, the first one. It'll be out in December.
Fantastic. Yeah, so in a way it was kind of maybe quite, not fortunate, that would be the wrong word to use, but it kind of
it made us have a rethink. I mean, the best thing about it was that, my son Jake was on lockdown with us for the first 3 months, and we shared our studio and computer and stuff. So that was quite nice to have someone around to talk to about work and things.
He's doing really well, isn't he? I mean,
yeah, he's got his own Image comic out at the moment. He's also colouring my stuff, so he was doing both of those while he was here. So we'd have to have a rota going because we only had one computer. So I'd have the mornings when he was still asleep on the computer, and then he'd have the afternoons and I'd work on paper. So we didn't get quite as much work done as we wanted to, but it was still nice.
No, I can imagine. And he's a big bread maker as well, so I guess you had him.
Oh yeah, he spent most of his time baking bread. Yeah. When he went back to Manchester, that's the only thing we missed really. Oh
well, I mean, it's absolutely great to be able to involve you in some way. I know that you've been trying to escape the festival for a few years, going, "Oh, do I have to come this year?" So this kind of works quite well, doesn't it? Because you don't even have to go outside. But
oh yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So what we're going to do, if it's still okay with you, is if you could give us a kind of guided tour of the studio, and while you're doing that, we'll be taking in some questions. We've already got a few actually already. But if you could just kind of show us around and say a little bit about how we work and what a normal working day, if there is one, looks like.
I'll swing on camera while we do this then. Yeah. I need a camera person, but I haven't got one. I work from home. I've always worked from home for 40 years now, different houses obviously, but and I've spent almost that time trying to fill a room with books. I think that'd be fair to say. Mm-hmm. So this is all my inspiration. It's all tax deductible research, if my accountant asks. So it's full of books, full of some toys, comics. I've got a drawing table here that I'm going to be painting on. Over there somewhere, if you can see, I've got a table with my Cintiq. I tend to do about half and half work, digital and on paper. At the moment, I've been penciling on paper on the Cintiq, printing the pages out, and then inking on the paper, and that seems to give me the best of both worlds. Mm-hmm. So that's really good. The ceiling's covered with film posters.
Yeah, you are a big film buff, aren't you? I guess a lot of creators, are.
Mostly. I don't think I am particularly. I mean, I like, when I was a kid, I was mad on any science fiction film or whatever, but I like the process of how they make films. I'm not necessarily that into watching them particularly. I like behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, I suppose, I like films as much as anybody else, probably. You already know what my top 5 is, don't you, Julie? So
I do. After many debates and discussions.
Yeah. So this is it. This is where I do all my stuff.
Fantastic. And you referred to it already, but you do a lot of photo reference. I mean, your research.
Yeah.
And have you got any bits and bobs around there that are examples, from the little models or knickknacks or?
I did buy this little model years ago.
Oh.
It's a Japanese figure, artist reference figure, and I've used it twice. And I thought, that'd be really good, but it's only really useful for drawing superheroes and things, and I don't really draw those anymore.
No.
I did a sketch cover for Chip Kidd last year, a Batman one, and I used this to help me work it out. It's not quite as detailed as I'd like, but I do shoot photograph for normal stuff because most of my work is real life sort of thing. So mostly middle-aged blokes frowning. So I'm a perfect model for that. So in my studio over there's 2 spotlights set up. Usually, I've moved them now for today, and I've got a camera on a tripod, and I just act it all out. The stuff while I'm not showing any of that stuff, obviously.
I suppose now at least you can do it all within the comfort of your own studio and nobody can see. Oh God, yeah.
Back before digital cameras were invented, it was very embarrassing going to the 1-hour photo processing shop and then handing over an envelope of weird photos.
Yeah, I can well imagine. What's to your, is it your left or your right? Sorry, I'm not very good at directions. You've got a rack of comics. It looks like something out of a comic shop.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've always wanted one, and there's often vintage ones on sale on eBay, but they tend to mostly be in America and they cost a lot of money. I did find one once. There was a couple of £100. I thought that's not too bad. I can justify that. But then it would have cost £800 to ship from the States.
Whoa.
And my wife would have killed me if I'd even contemplated it. So this one I bought, this is available in the UK, so I bought this a couple of years ago. So some of it's comics I've had since I was a kid. Comics I bought in 1974, maybe something like that, which I got signed by Steve Englehart last year when he came over to the UK for a con. So well-thumbed comic. And then some of it's just stuff I've been buying over the last couple of years because I've got the rack and obviously need to fill it up with something.
Yeah.
The same with the bookcases, you know, every time I get a new bookcase, it doesn't take long to fill it.
I mean, what about the actual bookcases then? I mean, have you got them all categorized in different genre or?
Yeah, they are. Over here, we've got, this one here is all strip cartoons mostly. So things like Johnny Hazard or Steve Canyon or Prince Valiant. It's great because all this stuff's getting reprinted nowadays through Fantagraphics and IDW and places like that. So you can get all this stuff that was ephemera, really. You know, no one kept all these things back in the day. This is books about comics, I suppose, artist sketchbooks, sort of instruction books, lots of foreign language editions, some big books like Mignola's Hellboy and some artist editions, things like that. And then over there, just sort of like regular sized comics, so American comics, so mostly Marvel and DC stuff. When I used to be working for DC a lot, they'd send me a big box of everything they published every month for free. So there's a lot of that has been built up from free stuff. And then over here, if you can still see that, there's a couple of more bookcases. Those are mostly, the top half of those two bookcases are copies of everything I've ever drawn.
Wow.
I've ever had published, not ever drawn, but ever had published. So they're all like little file folders of stuff going back 40 years, because I've been doing this for so long. Well, it's going back longer than that, because a couple of years ago, I had this made. Me and a couple of friends, Pete Dory and David Holman, when we were like 10 or 11, we made comics about ourselves. So
why not?
As a gift for them, I got it made up, printed up online as a sort of like an annual. So these are things that we do. We do film parodies. So I don't know what that one is. Well, a heavy metal band going on tour. We did like comic parodies, Star Wars parodies. We did hundreds and hundreds of pages of it. That was before, when I was about 12.
Wow.
And then, like you said before, by the time I was 15, I was drawing professionally. So I was drawing girls' comics for things like Judy.
Yeah.
I spent about 8 years drawing girls' comics from the time I was 15. So when I finished last few years of school, throughout art college, and then even a couple of years out of art college while I was working for 2000 AD, I was still drawing the girls' comics as well.
Oh, they're coming back into, well, not fashion is not the right word, but I think rebellion. Are they starting to bring girls?
They are. I read one last night. I read The Concrete Surfer last night by Pat Mills, and I can't remember the artist's name, Christine something, about a girl skateboarder. That was great.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I read it all. I read some of this stuff back in the day for research when I was drawing the girls' comics. So that was all. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Good, and I know that you actually, I mean, you invest is probably a grand word, but you do try as hard as you can to keep up with indie comics as well, and back Kickstarter campaigns and all sorts. I mean, that's not all creators, if dare I say it, but the level that you're operating at would be doing that. So I think I just wanted to make out a point that you do look for new work and.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm still a massive fan. I mean, I should be jaded by now, really, because I've seen behind the scenes for so long, and I know how it all works. But no, I mean, I still love reading comics, and I'm always looking for new stuff.
Fantastic.
You know, I do buy new indie stuff, and I buy stuff that's 50 years old, and everything in between.
Fabulous. Yeah, I wish we've got quite a lot of questions coming in, so
Okay.
I'll fire a few at you, and they're not in any particular order, but has the movie enthusiasm that you have affected the way that you draw, or your pace, rather, your comics?
That's the what? Sorry.
Have your enthusiasm for film, has that influenced?
Oh right. No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I don't study film to see how to draw something, really, how to stage something, how to place something out. I can't help but have particular images might stick in my mind as I watch a film, and I find it really hard to watch a film and totally get lost in it and not think, oh, that'd be useful one day in a comic. But then when it comes to drawing a comic, I never actually remember to look back at it. It's been good in other parts of my work because I do quite a lot of DVD covers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always good. I get to watch a good film and paint the DVD cover for Arrow or Criterion, and also in the back of our comics, Ed and I always do an essay about a film or a book or something like that. So sometimes I get to watch a film and do a painting for it.
I mean, actually, I've got a host of questions here, but whilst you've touched on the DVD side of things, I mean, you do a lot of other stuff. You don't just do comics. I mean, you do quite a lot of you mean you're a designer and an illustrator as well. I mean, do you ever think that maybe you go over to the other side and do more of that kind of work, or is
no, not really.
No.
I mean, I do illustration, but I never go looking for it. It always comes to me. So if it comes along and I've got time, I'll say yes. But I don't think I'm good enough to be a full-time illustrator. It's a lot, and it's not what really interests me. Making one really good drawing doesn't really interest me. I like doing comics because you can do loads of mediocre drawings.
Yeah.
You
can get away with
the quality of the drawing isn't an important thing. It's the way you tell the story, and that's what I try to concentrate on when I'm making comics. Make it clear, readable, interesting as well. Hopefully, even though mostly I just draw pages of people standing around talking, it's hard to make that visually appealing. But I'm never worried about how well something's drawn. It's more about how well it tells the story.
Yeah,
so yeah, I mean, it's nice doing illustration stuff, and it's sort of like a holiday from real work.
Do you have any examples there? Just while
have a look. Yes,
be quite nice to see. I think
this is the last one I did. This is it's very shiny. The Great Escape.
Yeah, I love
Steve McQueen, James Garner movie. That's just come out on Blu-ray this year from Criterion. So I did a painting for that, which was really cool. It was a real painting. I did it in acrylic gouache, no digital work, to sort of try and teach myself how to use the paint. I don't really use that paint very often. I only discovered it a couple of years ago. So I thought I'd try it out on this. And these sort of jobs they're always a nice little place to experiment. And the stuff we do in the back of the comics, when I do a painting in the back of the criminal or whatever, then I get a chance to try a new technique that wouldn't be it'd be too labour intensive or uneconomic for doing comics in. It's great for doing something like this. And it's good film too, Sometimes I get to do, for Criterion, I've done some good films. I've done On the Waterfront and this and a couple others, things that my dad have actually heard of. That's always quite nice. You might take me a bit more seriously as being an artist.
Yeah, maybe. But it's interesting though, because I mean, it must be quite a phenomenon that you've been working with Ed for how many years? I can't remember.
Well, 21 years, I think, off and on, but about 15 years since we started Criminal. And
I mean, for those people who don't already know, can you explain a bit about how it works? Because I don't think you see him very often, do you?
No, I don't. Me and Ed did a Zoom interview last week, and that's the first time I've seen him for a year. And then, and a year ago, that's the first time I've seen him for 5 years. And we never speak on the phone or anything like that. I think twice, maybe. He's rang me twice because he hadn't heard from me for a couple of days via email, so he was worried. But we don't feel the need. Everything we do email 50 times a day. We don't feel the need to meet up and stuff. I mean, we have done, especially in the beginning when we were planning Criminal. We happened to do a couple of shows together in Europe, so we could actually talk face to face about what we wanted to do. But otherwise, we trust each other, just get on with it.
And it's quite, obviously a very successful partnership. I mean, are there any downsides to it?
That you can actually
share?
What?
That you can actually share?
No, it's all great. The only downside is that Ed seems to have a very optimistic view of how quick I can draw things. So when we schedule stuff, it's always needed straight away. So that's the only, but that's he's learning. But apart from that, it's perfect for me because we do whatever we like. Yeah. We've got to deal with the image where We don't have to pitch anything, they'll publish it. We can choose format, we can choose frequency, we can choose subject matter, everything. So as long as me and Ed make each other happy, then that's it.
Were you, I know Charlie was, but were you both founder members or founder participants in the Image concept? Because that was, if I'm right, that was the first creator-owned sort of comic publisher.
Oh, no, Image has been going for over 25 years. Ed and I only started Image about
recently. 7
or 8 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing creator-owned comics almost since the beginning for DC and other people, and Fleetway when they were publishing Crisis, but Image is the only publisher that only does creator-owned comics.
Yeah.
It worked out great. It's a risk because you never know if you're going to sell enough to make any money. They do pay advances sometimes. Otherwise, you have to wait until the book's printed and come out, and then a few months later, you might get some money. I mean, like we had a new book come out in July, Pulp, which did really well for us. Apparently, we won't see any money for that until next April.
Yeah.
But then April might come. If it hadn't done very well, April would come around and we wouldn't see any money. That's the risk we can take, and I'm lucky I'm in the position where we can risk it occasionally. We're not stupid. We still try and do things that are commercial. We don't do art comics.
No. No, and Ed's got he's got quite a business head, hasn't he? So
yeah, I think so. I mean, he can do other stuff in the same. I can really only draw one comic at a time. I can do the odd DVD cover here and there, but it really eats into the time available. Whereas Ed can write a comic in a couple of weeks. There's the other couple of weeks he's in Hollywood doing movie stuff or TV stuff, whatever he does.
Yeah, but it's not as glamorous a life as you have. I mean, sure.
Oh no, he's said plenty of times that it keeps him sane doing comics.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'll just throw in a few more questions that we're getting as well. But someone was asking about your proudest moment in your career, or proudest moments. I mean, work that you're most pleased with.
Sometimes I'm pleased with it, sometimes not. I did some Star Wars covers about 20 years ago, and that's the only time my kids have ever taken me seriously.
Yeah.
So that's quite good. Nice paint of Chewbacca. So the drawings, the paint was quite nice, and the kids thought it was quite cool.
Do you still have that?
No, I sold it. I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd kept it.
Yeah.
But I needed the money, so I had to sell it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the plight, isn't it? Often.
I think that's the only piece I've ever sold that I regret selling. Usually, I just think, well, I can always paint another one. Yeah. And hopefully that'll be better than it was before. So it never bothers me that much selling art.
A couple of other things. I mean, there, as I say, not in any particular order. Someone wants, on a practical level, to know if you use any tools to do perspective, because you seem to be such an expert.
Yes, I do, because I draw my stuff digitally, or pencil digitally now. I pencil clip studio, and that has really good perspective rulers in it. So that's a really good help. Yeah, ever since I started using that, there's a lot more perspective in my stuff. Before, you'd have to have a really long ruler and a drawing pin. To get the vanishing point things. So I'll just fake it usually, but this time now you can do it properly. So yeah, that's really useful. That's probably the main reason I pencil digitally, is so I can use the perspective.
Interesting. There's someone I think's lobbying you here, says, have you ever considered taking part in Inktober?
Nah, I never have time for that stuff. I mean, it sounds awful, but drawing comics is my job, and in my free time, the last thing I want to do is draw some more stuff.
Fair enough. So what do you do if you have any free time? I guess you don't really have very much at all anyway, do you?
No, I tend to work. I work long hours. I do 9 till 7, 5 days a week, and I sometimes work at the weekends as well, depending on deadlines and things. The older I get, the shorter my hours are, because by the time 7 o'clock rolls around, I can barely see anymore. Yeah. So I have to stop. Free time. Don't know, go outside.
Gulp some fresh air.
Read a book, watch a film, go out for a walk. I live in the Lake District, so it's very nice out there. Yeah,
because you do a daily walk, don't you? I mean, you've got obviously quite a lot of followers.
I live in a little village, and I walk down to the estuary on the coast, and so it's about half an hour to get there, and I stand in the same spot and take a photo every day and put it on my social media. And I do that first thing in the morning. I'm out about 7:30 before I go to work. Originally, I started doing it because it got me out of everyone's hair while they were trying to get ready to go to school and stuff. But now I just do it automatically now. And it's sort of, I've checked my emails by then, so I'm thinking about work and I'm thinking about what I'm going to be drawing that day and anything that might be bugging me about stuff. So and then you get a lovely view and take a photo.
Yeah, it's a nice ritual,
wildlife,
isn't it?
I took a video last week, a couple of deer fighting, which was quite exciting.
So maybe you can try and work that into a comic. I mean,
oh God, no, I hate drawing animals.
Who doesn't? Even Hergé hated drawing animals, as we
really?
know. Yeah, apparently so.
I mean, all the things I hate drawing is what I got to draw in pulp this year. It was a cowboy book, so I had to draw hats, which I don't like drawing. They're really difficult, and horses, and guns. I don't like drawing any of those things.
That rules out quite a lot of scenes.
Pardon?
That rules out quite a lot of scenes potentially.
Yeah, well, most of it was set in the 1930s, so I didn't have to draw that much in the end. And I did ask Ed to write me a Western, so it's my own stupid fault.
Fair enough.
Part of me wants to push myself, and the other part of me would rather just draw what I know I can draw.
Do you have a favourite thing then? I mean, to draw either a scene or a particular.
I don't know. I mean, I like drawing real life stuff. People with their clothes on is nice, rather than skin tight superhero suits. I really don't like drawing that sort of stuff. I find it very difficult. So mostly, in comics, mostly people talking is what I like drawing. And they don't have to be doing anything exciting at the same time. Even crossing the street, that's about as exciting enough while they're having a conversation, I think.
Yeah, maybe that sums you up as much as anything.
Well, it gives you a million hard things to draw anyway: cars, buildings, other people.
Yeah. Someone's got a question here actually. It's would Sean and Ed in brackets consider making a hard sci-fi book, something realistic about the Apollo program or space exploration? That's very specific.
I mean, we did think about doing a sci-fi book a few years ago, but not that sort of, more, fantastic stuff. But at the time, Image were putting out loads of sci-fi books, and we decided we'd only get lost in the deluge, so we didn't bother. I did do a sci-fi book for a French publisher a few years ago, which was quite nice, but I hate drawing tech. I really don't get it. So why do I make it doubly hard for myself? I like reading it, but I don't want to necessarily draw it.
Fair enough. And we've got Jacob Phillips wants to know who's the best colorist in the world?
Well, probably Dave Stewart isn't he, Jake? Jake's getting there. I mean, that was a massively pleasant surprise when he turned out to be really good at colouring. Who knew? I never knew. He kept that quiet. Jake started colouring my work, if anyone doesn't know, on My Heroes Will Always Be Junkies. Originally, I was going to colour it myself. We had Betty Brightweiser colouring my stuff before then. And for that particular book, I had a very specific technique in mind. And it didn't feel right to ask Betty to dumb her stuff down so much to do it. So I was going to do it myself. But then, as I said before, Ed doesn't really understand deadlines, and they came a lot quicker than we thought they were going to. So Jake coloured it for me. I coloured the first 2 pages and just let him go and do the other 64 pages, however it was. And we were Ed and I were both relieved and pleased with what Jake did. So we decided we'd try him out on Criminal, keep him going. So yeah, he turns out to be really good at it.
Yeah, well,
he's probably the 3rd best then.
3rd? That's not bad, is it?
Yeah,
bearing in mind he's a whippersnapper.
He's the 3rd best that's worked with me then, let's say that.
I mean, it must be tough for him, actually. I mean, in a way, it's helpful that you're his dad, and in another way, the eyes of the world are upon him, and also people are probably much harder in a way when they look at his work. It's like, let's make sure that we don't give him too easy a ride, So he's had such good reviews.
Well, yeah, I mean, on the colour side, he does get some bad reviews as well, but I tell him not to take notice of them.
Yeah.
And I try not. I mean, I do read my reviews, but I wish I didn't sometimes. Even if they're saying nice stuff, they're still really weird. But as far as like his career goes, I don't know if it's really helped having me here at all. Yeah. He never planned. He's an accidental comic artist. He never planned on being a comic artist. He was just going to be a general illustrator. But he just sort of fell into it, unfortunately.
No looking back.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it's definitely helped because he used to do some of the backup illustrations in the back of Kill or Be Killed when I didn't have time to do them. So he did get some eyes on his work, and from that he did get some other people offering him work. So it's definitely helped a little bit, but he doesn't come in saying I'm the son of Sean Phillips when he's after anything. So
No, sure. I mean, just talk about reviews. I know you once had was it a damning review where someone wasn't into the pictures so much as the words?
Me or Jake? Me.
No, you once.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. There's an Amazon review for someone saying, yeah, I like the story, but too many pictures.
It's class, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'd agree with that. You know, especially drawing it, it's far too many pictures. You know. One a page would be much better than 10.
What's interesting as well, though, is that you do have, you know, mainstream, very high-profile novelists, fiction writers who are into your work. I mean,
yeah.
Tell us about a couple of those, and then we'll move on to some.
Well, I mean, mostly they're people Ed knows. So Joe Hill gives us quotes for our books, and he loves the stuff. But I met him once. He came to Edinburgh and did a book signing, so I went and I travelled up there and went and said hello. But apart from that, Ian Rankin likes our stuff and says nice things, because we're sort of friends-ish now, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, that just sort of that happened because he did a Hellblazer graphic novel. Ian did about, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago, and he was doing a signing of it in Waterstones, Edinburgh. And my son Fred was at university in Edinburgh, so I said to Ed, Fred, you know, go and get a book signed for me, you know. And went and mention my name because he might have read my Hellblazer stuff as research. I mean, I didn't know if he was into comics particularly or what, but you know, I thought maybe he might have read them. And it turns out he had. So he did a nice little drawing and wrote a note in the book and stuff. And then the next time I went to see Ed at uni, we met up and went for a drink and hit it off. So yeah, weird, but yeah, it's good.
No,
he's a massive comic fan. He's a fan of lots of things, so that's something we've got in common. You know, he's really into his music, he's really into films, he's really into comics, writing in general.
Yeah, it's interesting that he seems to particularly like seeing his work in print as in a comic form, because he did that piece.
Yeah, he gets a big kick out of it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, it's a totally different world for him. It's something he's a fan of rather than in. So yeah.
So. We'll have a few more questions, I think, but we can weave those in as we go. Before I think we're going to segue into you sitting down and actually getting on with a piece of work and telling us what it is and how you're going about it. One of the things that's been very popular over the weekend so far has been the Desert Island Comics sessions that we've been doing, which I think you know about.
Yeah.
Where we've asked a creator to choose 5 comics that they would take to a desert island. We've done those with Kelly Sue DeConnick, Dave Gibbons, Charlie Adlard, etc. So I just thought if we could just get a tiny little glimpse into your Desert Island Comics thing, if you could choose maybe 3 comics.
Okay, I can do that. Yeah, I mean, you did warn me, but I totally forgot about this, didn't I? So
yeah.
I know comics are words and pictures, but I only ever buy comics for the art. You know, the story could be the worst story ever written. I don't care if the drawings are nice. So my most favourite UK artist is John M. Burns. This is a book I've made of his stuff, just for my personal bookshelf. He's about 82 now, but he's been working since the late 50s. So this is the stuff he drew for Lookin' magazine back in the 70s.
Oh wow!
You see that?
Yeah.
So I bought I had some of the magazines already. Then I bought every issue that had his work in, scanned it all, cleaned it up, and got a nice 600-page book made of it.
Wow.
Just for me. Well, I got 2 copies made because I sent him one as well, and I think he was quite touched. I think. Also thought it was a bit. Also thought it was a bit weird. But I love his work. His stuff is so kinetic and clean and powerful, and he can just draw so nice. You know, and he works for 2000 AD now, still doing stuff. I've got his originals as well, and he did a page for the Spirit newspaper that the festival put out a couple of years ago.
So that would be the Labour of Love book.
Sorry?
That'd be your Labour of Love book that you take with you. Yeah.
So there's that. He's probably my favourite. And then as far as American artists go, happens to be one on my Spinamax somewhere. There you go. This is Avengers number 58. I never read it when I was a kid because it was American Marvel Comics didn't come into the UK back then when this came out. So I read it in a UK reprint in black and white. And then a few years ago, I bought an American copy. So it's John Buscema drawing big peak was seen was about 1966. Oh no, it's November 1968 it came out. And it's just absolutely beautiful superhero art. The only person that comes remotely close nowadays is Stuart Immonen. You know, everyone else, it's all built on this and Kirby. And that's my favourite shot there, where the Vision is just holding his cape off the ground. It doesn't drag. No, it's just those little touches that make it much more relatable and human, even though that's an android. I can't believe I'm saying those words out now. This just sounds so stupid when you say that.
Right, it's recorded now forever.
I love his stuff. He was, pardon?
I said it's going to be recorded this, so it's online forever.
Yeah. So he's my favourite superhero artist. So one more then.
Yeah.
I would say, excuse me a moment. My absolute favourite, probably for influence on my stuff, is David Mazzucchelli.
Yeah.
Drew Batman Year One. This is a French version of it, which is in black and white, so you don't get the colours. I wouldn't say spoiling it, but covering it up, so you can really sort of get in there and try to figure out how he did it. Got no idea. I think it was just pure talent. I think that's how he does it. But yeah, I absolutely love his stuff. He did this. He did Daredevil Born Again, which is again a beautiful book. This was done after that, and then after he did this, he just left behind mainstream comics. He'd done all he needed to do. He did the best Batman comic ever. He did one of the best Daredevil comics ever, and then just went off and did art comics. Yeah, and teaching and stuff and whatever else he does. No idea. Yeah, so
wonderful.
That's the sort of thing I find very inspirational.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. We could go on forever.
If I could get a 10th,
Sorry?
If I could get a 10th of what he gets on a page, I'd be really pleased.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, actually, this relates back to one of your choices. Colin Brown has asked if you have any original artwork by John M. Burns that you can show.
Oh, well, Colin knows I have. Yeah, I've got quite a lot.
Hence why he asked.
Show you because it's all. That's fine. It's all stacked away. I'll get it for the last hour. I'll come back this afternoon. I'll find something.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I mean, John's done so much good stuff over the years. Loads of newspaper strips and things like that. He did a thing called Jane, which is like a sexy girl strip in the Daily Mirror in the 80s, which my nan used to cut out the paper every day and save for me. So I've got like very brown newspaper clippings now of all of those.
Oh.
Those. So she used to save those for me. I've got some originals of those. Lots of bits and pieces.
Brilliant.
Most of the original art I've got is old illustrations from 1950s magazines, 60s magazines, rather than comics. There's such a massive amount of comic art available that it makes it very hard to figure out which one you want.
Yeah, which one to go.
Which one you can afford as well, because the really good stuff is extremely expensive.
Yep, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just being warned that we've talked quite a while now, and I think
we've had half an hour, yes.
Yes, and what we'd like to do, we've got about 20 minutes, is to see you sit down and tackle. You'll tell us what you're about to tackle.
Yeah.
And maybe
I'm going to have to swivel my camera. So if you talk, then my camera disappears, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll just swivel it now.
Yeah. So I think the plan is that Sean is going to sit down, and actually do a new piece of work, and he'll explain what it is. You can see him in action. I'll, to your relief, try and be quiet for once and just have like a Zen moment, or whatever you want to call it, where we can just watch him at work. And then at 10 to 12, we're going to start to prepare for our noon slot, which is actually a pub quiz, quite a contrast. But we will be coming back to see how far Sean's got, and hopefully to see him finish off that piece of work at 4 o'clock this afternoon. In the meantime, feel free to throw any questions our way via YouTube, on Twitter, or whatever. And I'll hand you back over now to Sean, I think.
Okay, well, I've seamlessly swiveled my camera around. So now you can see, I hope you can see, a picture from Blade Runner.
Yep.
I took on a couple of commissions a couple of weeks ago because I need a new computer. When Jake came home to share my studio, I don't know what he did to my computer, but it doesn't work very well anymore. So I've been saving up for new ones. I've been doing some commissions. This is the last one I've got to do. And then I'm about to buy a new computer before the end of my financial year. So, so I'm doing this. So I offered A3 watercolor paintings of preferably stuff from films, but I did some comic-y type ones as well. So this is a friend of mine, Marc Bourne, who's asked for a Blade Runner piece. So this is what I've got so far. I drew this digitally so I could trace over photos. There's nothing wrong with tracing photos. so I don't want anybody ever to go at me. It's very hard to get likenesses without doing that. I find it. So anyway, so I drew this digitally and then I tinted it slightly so the lines are coloured rather than black. Mostly because I know when I use purely black ink on the printout, the watercolour tends to make it run everywhere. So I've got no idea if this is going to be okay or not. Sometimes it works well and sometimes it doesn't when I put the first layer of paint on. So yeah, this has been printed out on a piece of watercolour paper, taped to a board so it doesn't buckle up too much. Then I'm going to start adding colour. So I've got some printouts of some of the photos I've used for reference. So I'll be looking at these while I do the painting. So I'm just going to mix up my first colour. Well, I've already mixed up my first colour and I'm going to add it to some of this. So my wife, Jeanette, is also a painter and she teaches watercolour and paints in watercolour. And the first thing she always tells her students is big brush, lots of paint. So I'm trying to learn from what she's told me. So instead of just, doing it millions of little strokes, just sort of go whack it in and see what happens. So this is a very pale colour. I don't know if that's even if the camera can pick that up, but this is like the first layer, just to sort of, the first layer tends to seal the paint a little bit. So if it does start bleeding through, I can fix it on the next layer of paint, hopefully. I did do one of these last week and the whole thing just bled straight away and I had to rip it up and start again. But I have got a digital file of the pencils to do that with. It's not that much of a hardship to have to go back and start again from the beginning because I'm very close to the beginning still. So for this one, I decided that the Harrison Ford and the Sean Young characters are both going to be quite normal colours. So I'm putting over the yellow ochre, a little bit of pink in it, just to make it a bit more orange, just for the base colour on the flesh tones. And then some of the other characters on there are going to be more abstract colours. So I'm planning sort of maybe shades of turquoisey blue for that sort of neon-y Blade Runner-esque colour scheme. I don't want to have to go and paint a whole cityscape, so I'm trying to do it with the colour rather than making it really difficult for myself. So just get rid of some of that. So that's not too bad. It's bled a little bit, but I don't think it really matters. So now I can go in and add another layer of colour. So the trouble is with doing this like this is usually I'd have a couple of these on the go, and while one's drying, I could work on the other one, but I haven't got that luxury, so I'm going to have to just go in and work on it while the paint's wet. So who knows? It might turn out to be a disaster. Yeah.
You really, really enjoy painting though, don't you?
Oh, you can't beat, anything on paper, a pencil on paper or some paint on paper. Yeah, you can't beat it. Digital doesn't come anywhere near it. But, I'm not a fine artist. I'm a commercial artist. And everything I do is to make the printed version how I want it to be. So if it gets closer to what I want, if I do it digitally, then why not do it digitally? I mean, it's nice to have a piece of original art at the end, maybe, if people want to buy some art, but that isn't the important bit. And art sales is a minuscule amount of my income, so it'd be stupid to make it doubly difficult for myself by drawing on paper and then having, and so people, it's easy to sell the artwork if it's got a Marvel zombie on it or Batman, but there's only so many pictures of the character out of Criminal frowning that people want to buy. So I might as well do it digitally. And just makes for a better comic, which is the important bit. So I'm going to mix up some turquoisey, bluey colour.
Have you ever refused? I mean, I'm sure you have, but refused commissions. I mean, the things you just go, nah, I'm not drawing that, or painting.
Back in the day when I used British cons like UCAC in London, when Deadline was around, I'd be sat there and people asked me to draw a naked tank girl. While Jamie Hewlett was at the other side of the room, and I think, nah, I don't think that's quite appropriate, so I don't do that. No, I mean, people know what I do and tend to, tailor what they want to the sort of stuff they know they've seen me do already. So I don't tend to get that very often. No, I don't. I barely ever take on commissions. I'm usually too busy doing comics. I'm only doing it this time because, you know, like I say, need a new computer, and then that's it now. I might do some more when I finish the next volume of Reckless, which I'm due to finish that in the middle of February.
Okay.
If everything goes according to plan. So if I do, I might take on some more commissions. I mean, I do enjoy them, but it's finding the time. It's okay today because, you know, it kills two birds with one stone doing this on screen. If it wasn't for you being here, I probably wouldn't have done this today. I probably would have not done any work. I would have laid around in the sun and read the paper.
Well, then you've got us to thank. That's good to know.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Oh, you do paint the covers, don't you, of the comics that you do with Ed, for example?
Sometimes they're real paint, sometimes they're digital. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing this Reckless book at the moment, and we just released the second cover this week. You see that?
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
So that's the digital piece. I've already had someone ask if they can buy the artwork, and I've had to say there isn't any. Yeah. But it just, I mean, I could probably paint that by hand and look very similar, but it will take me 3 times as long. Mm-hmm. So it seemed the best way to do it for this.
I mean, I guess it is one of the frustrations for people who do want to collect. I mean, I'm sure the other way around for you as well, where you've seen work and then it's digital. There is nothing.
Oh yeah, my art dealer is always extremely annoyed with me. when he has people ask for something, I have to admit that actually, no, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, strange thing.
But I like the variety of doing it, some different techniques. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever done any proper watercolor covers. I might. Quite early on in my career, I did a book called Heart of the Beast for Vertigo that Image put out again. No, not Image, Dynamite put out again a couple of years ago, and that was all painted in watercolor. Mm-hmm. And that was the first watercolor stuff I'd done, apart from a few things at art college. So that was really learning on the job. So the first few, and I drew it in sequence as well. So the first few pages were a lot tighter and not quite as well considered as the later ones. But that's how it should be. I'd hate if I'd drawn 100 pages in watercolor and it was just as good at the end as it was at the beginning, or just as bad at the end as it was at the beginning. I felt like I've not done anything right then.
Well, you do always challenge yourself, or you do try and always be developing either your art or the approach you and Ed take is to be looking for things that push a bit. I mean, you're not just...
always, yeah. Sometimes back in the day when I was doing more work for hire stuff, most of the times it would be the things that would clinch it for me, apart from if I had the time or not, would be who else was I working with. So occasionally I'd have an inker, which I never usually do. But I've had Bill Sienkiewicz and Kent Williams and Duncan Fagredo ink me because the job came along and they said, "Oh, so and so will be inking you." I'm like, "Well, that's good. That's the only reason I want to do it then." So there's things like that keep it interesting because I want to see what they do with my stuff. Most of the time I know how it's going to turn out because I've drawn it. Sometimes I'll get a pleasant surprise and it looks like someone else did it. But mostly I sort of know what's going to happen, and it's always a bit of a disappointment. It's never as good on paper as it is in your head. As you can tell from this,
It's looking great to me, but then I think it'd be interesting. I know a few people are interested in who are your contemporary sort of influences. Who are the people, that you look at now and think, let
me have a think about it. Well,
you can leave people out, by the way; they won't get upset.
Okay, then. Well, I'm not going to people like John Paul Leon. He's just done a Batman book that was absolutely beautiful. His stuff's always been good, but I've liked his stuff since I first saw it 20 odd years ago, but he's still very interesting. And his good friend is Tommy Lee Edwards, and he's another one that draws and paints amazingly well. Mm-hmm. So they're doing new stuff all the time. Who else do I like? I don't really buy much in the way of comics nowadays, new stuff, I must admit. Chris Samney, his stuff's excellent. His run on Daredevil is really good. Daredevil seems to have quite a lot of good artists over the years. Mm-hmm. So I'm just concentrating on Harrison Ford's face.
No, I'm trying not to keep interrupting you.
Yeah. But loads of things, and I read a lot of stuff that is nothing like how I draw. So I always find that's much more instructional. I can get a lot more out of that. I can take things from other people's stuff that you wouldn't think would interest me.
Someone wants to know if you're a fan of Blade Runner 2049.
Yes, it was. I thought I've not seen it since it came out. We saw it together, didn't we, Julie?
We did.
And it was visually absolutely amazing. The story was fine, but we didn't need a sequel. It was nice to have one. It was nice to see all that stuff again, and Harrison Ford's great, but we didn't really need one.
No.
I keep meaning to watch it again, but it's so long. I've had the Blu-ray since the day it came out, and I think it's still in shrink wrap because I haven't got around to watching it yet. But I will watch it. But it's not a patch. It's not a patch on the first one, obviously.
No, the coat's nice though. He looks good in his coat.
I don't really get Ryan Gosling. I mean, he's okay, but it's a bit bland. I find. He was good in La La Land. I like that.
Yeah, he was. And what was the one where it's one word title for the film?
Drive.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a brilliant film. That was like watching Criminal on screen. That was really weird actually when I first saw that. I think they've read our comics. No idea if they have or not, but yeah.
Well, it's about time many of those collaborations with Ed were taken to the screen.
Yeah, maybe. It'd be quite nice, I suppose, but I'm not holding my breath on it. We've had, even before Criminal came out, we had interest in it, and oh God, that's a bit pink, isn't it? I'm trying out some watercolors I never usually used before. They're a lot more vivid than I thought they would be. My wife has started putting together curated sets of watercolors by a particular watercolor manufacturer called Wallace Seymour, and they do handmade watercolors with natural pigments. So she's been sort of choosing the colors she likes and sticking them in a box for people to buy.
Saw that.
So she's got piles of these lying around. So I've stolen a couple of tubes just to see what they're like. And this one's called Scarlet Pink, and it's really, really pink, isn't it? So
I think it kind of works for me, but then I'm not.
It'll be fine once I add some darker colours over the top. I'm not that fussed.
So how long do you think? I mean, you're not going to work at this continuously all day, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes me really bad.
Do you want it finished at 4? Do you want me to get nearly finished by 4 o'clock or not?
Well, I was thinking you could maybe leave a little bit till 4 o'clock, and then let us see you finish it off.
Okay. Well, I can talk about what I'm going to go through on it if you like now. I mean, after this first couple of layers of sort of the base colours, I start trying to figure out the shadows and things. Mm-hmm. So my watercolouring tends to be extremely simple. There's a bit of skin colour, a little bit of red or pink goes in there, some of the blues and things, and then most of the shadow work is done with a black or a dark blue or something like that. So that tends to go quite quickly at the end. So I'll get about halfway through that colour, and then when we come back later on, I can do the fine little bits. And I try to make it so I don't use any opaque colour. It's all transparent, like real watercolour. But I might have to go back in here with a little bit of white just to clean it up a little bit. But so far, it's going fine.
Yeah. It looks good to me.
I'm quite pleased with that.
And it is my favourite film of all time, so I'm very happy.
Yeah. No, that's pure coincidence.
I'm sure it is.
It's the Commissioner's one of his favourite films, I'm sure, as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't bother asking for it, would he? So.
No, that's wonderful. Well, just to say, as we've got just 1 minute left, really, that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gone very fast. So we're really grateful. It's been insightful for me, and we've had conversations about your work, obviously, and I've been in your studio. Yeah, it's been great. We have got more questions, but I'll save those perhaps for later on.
Okay.
We'll come back to you at 4, see you finish that piece of work off, which would be great.
Yeah, I'll get as close as I can to the finish.
That would be lovely. So for anybody out there who has a burning question still, please feel free to message us or whatever.
Apart from Jake, not Jake. I've already answered.
No more from Jake. No. We'll do a session on Jake next time round. Yeah, but in the meantime, thanks very much.
That's all right. My pleasure.
Great, and I'm just going to mention a couple of things. So we're about to start in, say, 10 minutes time, actually, our pub quiz to find the Comics Clever Clogs 2020 with a great prize of a very, very big fat comic, of which more in a while. If you still want to take part, you can go onto our website under Daft as a Brush, and there's a section on the pub quiz, and that tells you how to register. It's very easy. And it's open to all ages, and it's a pile of fun. I know the questions, I could answer very few, but nonetheless. And then if you want to watch something by a recommendation now, on the live section of the website, we are going to be playing Dave Gibbons', it says here Through the Comics Keyhole, but I think that's Desert Island Comics. Yeah, so Dave Gibbons will be choosing his 5 comics to take to a desert island, his luxury item, his favourite crisp, and his favourite biscuit. So thank you very much for watching. Thanks again to Sean. We're going to have a very, very short break, and then the pub quiz will be starting in 10 minutes, or if you prefer, you can watch Dave ruminating over his favourite comics. Thank you.
Yeah, do that. Watch Dave.
Yeah, watch Dave. It is great.
He's got a very nice studio as well.
He's got a very lovely studio.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.